What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of What's Up Cuzzo podcast with your two favorite cousins. We got one of them here. We got Marco in the building. How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling out there? Man, hopefully you guys had a phenomenal last few weeks. Sorry we missed you last week. We had some things that were going on, and we need to attend to those things. But we back. We back. Did y'all miss us? Did y'all miss us? Nah, but hopefully, all is well with you guys. And man, we firstly I want to appreciate each and every one of you who liked, who commented, who viewed the video, who subscribed to our channel. We appreciate each and every one, each and every like, each and every comment, each and every subscription to the video. And yeah, we're just trying to, start this thing off and continue doing it weekly, bringing you fresh new content. Some of them may be an addendum to, some of the things we already talked about. But yeah, that's where we at, man. So anyway, I think because I was trying to fix some things on his end, but we got a lot. We got a few things to talk about. So I named this Cultured, and you'll see why. But we're going to talk about the LA fires 1 year later. There's some things that I've heard of that's been going on behind the scenes. There's also been a pause to the war in Iran. And then we got some $1 million women out here, man. Women in WNBA, man, making that yaper now. And then lastly, we'll address, some cultural things that, some questions that, I've had, or conversations that I've had with other people about culture and what that looks like. So anyway, Cuzzo, you there? Oh, he is not there, but okay. We gonna get this thing started though. Let me see. First video up.
Mayor Karen Bass visiting the Palisades to warn about a looming deadline for homeowners. Over 2 months after the massive fire, some residents are frustrated because answers have been slow in coming, they say. That's why the mayor couldn't escape questions about transparency today. Fox 11's Christy Fajardo is in Pacific Palisades with the update. Christy?
Yeah, Christine, the mayor wanted to warn residents of the Palisades about a looming FEMA deadline, as you said, but she also wanted to talk about an executive order that would streamline the permitting process for any of these homeowners who want to build all-electric, fire-resistant homes. And although residents say that they welcome any move that makes their life easier, we spoke to one woman who says what she really wants are answers.
We are 10 days away from this deadline.
Mayor Karen Bass back in the fire zone today to tout an executive order to expedite rebuilding and to warn some residents they need to decide now whether they want the Army Corps of Engineers to clear their debris.
We are concerned that over 1,000 residents of the Palisades have neither opted in or opted out. And in a few days, they will lose the opportunity for FEMA reimbursement.
Palisades resident Sue Pasco didn't like what she heard.
They make it sound like just opt in. It's just like going to the Jack in the Box and ordering. No, it's not at all. It's very complicated. The opt-in form takes probably a master's degree to get through it.
But that's not her only frustration.
The problem is no one is taking accountability for the fire or why it got out of control.
This is what's left of her home on Radcliffe. And for months now, she's been pressing for answers as a victim and as a journalist for Encircling the News, submitting Public Records Act requests for 911 calls and other basic information.
I've sent them to the fire department, and all of my requests for information have come back. Sorry, there's an investigation.
And so that's what happened about a year ago. And so this is a more recent video. And let's see what Karen Bass has to say in this video.
We want to introduce Mayor Karen Bass, who's going to talk to us tonight on the recovery effort 1 year later. Mayor Bass, we thank you so much for being here for us. As we mentioned, 16,000 homes and businesses were destroyed in the fires. But at this point, we just heard Liz there. Fewer than 10 homes have been rebuilt in LA County. How do you explain that to the people of your city?
Well, first of all, there are different areas of jurisdiction. So in the city of Los Angeles, it is the Pacific Palisades. The other areas are outside of the city. And I do have to tell you that the first few months after a disaster like this, the attention is paid to clearing out the debris. That took several months. So if you're going to look at the rebuilding, you could say that it started in around April. The fact that we have over 400 homes in the Pacific Palisades that are actively under construction now, there's about 2 that are pretty much ready to move in and several more that will be ready in the next few months. I know that it is very difficult for anyone who is not in their homes, but this is actually pretty quick. You look at the fires that took place in Maui, and that was 2 years ago, and the number of homes that have been built and under construction is a similar number.
Mayor
to
Bass,
Los Angeles.
yeah,
in
Mayor
12
Bass, I hear you, but I also know that Hawaii is an island nation, or a group of islands in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, versus California,
Okay.
which I think has the 5th largest economy in the world. Los Angeles, one of the great cities on this planet. Are you trying to tell me and our viewers, and it's okay if you are, but I want to make sure I understand you, you're proud of your efforts and what's happened in Los Angeles up to this point?
You know, listen, I will not be proud until 100% of Palisadians are back home. If you want a California comparison, I can give you a California comparison. We've had a number of wildfires in different cities. And if you judge our progress compared to other cities, we are months and months ahead. A lot of the problems that individuals are facing, like the ones that you interviewed, are insurance, it's financing, it's banking. What we have done is expedited the building process, waived a lot of the rules and regulations. We've done everything to fast track, and anything else that needs to be done, when we find a problem, we address it. So
Yeah.
I think that it's not accurate to look at it and just say that because things are not done, it's done for a variety of reasons. And people have every right in the world to be angry and frustrated.
Can you hear me, Cuzzo?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so you heard the video?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Perfect. All right. So, looking at this video, there was another video or press conference that I actually saw where Donald Trump flew out here during the fires, and during his meeting and sit down, during the press conference. This is only what we saw. We don't know what happened on the back end, but he said we need to find out a way to expedite this so that people can, one, like she mentioned, clean up their homes, clean up the debris, and then also make sure that people are able to get back in their homes right away. From what she just stated in this video, it doesn't sound like that happened at all. It sounds like, it's one of those other things where they drag their feet. I'm be honest, I don't know the full process of it, but it seems like that they drug their feet. They took as much time as they want to. I don't know if this was a calculated play, you know, because some are thinking it's that, you know, to get other businesses and assisted living, you know, assisted living homes built in those areas, you know, low income homes, things that the government runs. I don't know if that's the play, but I do know that thousands of people are out of a home. People are being sent letters because they're being charged fees for this same type of thing. Um, and this right here kind of shows me that these individuals don't really care about the people. When these fires happen, you know, as a lady kind of stated in another video, nobody's taking responsibility. You know, they fired the fire marshal. You know, they fired her. You know, so she could be the fall woman, fall guy, whatever you want to call her. But nobody's really taking responsibility for this. Karen Bass was out of the country. She was notified that this stuff was going to happen, potentially happen, and she still decided to leave. And she, at the minimum, if you leave your house, if you're going on vacation, if you're going out of town, I don't know about everyone else, but you make sure that everything is in order at your house before you leave. And I know this is not her actual house. You know, I'm talking in theory, but if she was leaving at minimum, make sure that things are in place, that things are working, that water are in the hydrants, you know, before you leave, if potentially there's a fire. But it sounds like you leave stuff to chance. And now she's like, you know, I'm glad he kind of gave her some pushback, but her response is not good enough. You know, you have people that can't wait a year, 2 years, you know, to rebuild. Like, they're still paying on this property and they're getting fined. They still have to pay property taxes. And yet it doesn't seem like it's that important to you, because it's not you. And so I just feel bad for the individuals who this was their home. And I don't care if they, you know, there's some people that have been staying over there for years, like they grew up in their homes. They had generations grow up in those homes. Those are bad, but just anybody who had to be uprooted from their house because of this. And like, a lot of people can't hold on, you know, 3 months, 6 months, a year, you know, 2 years, 5 years to build a house. They need somewhere to stay now. And maybe they don't have a family member to go to. Maybe they're only able to stay somewhere a limited time. And if they don't see any progress, you know, coming soon, like, some people have to give up what they have and sell that property. And there's people that are coming in there. Hey, you can't really be too mad at them. I mean, you could say it's unethical, but the goal as a business person is to get the best deal for your money. And so people are coming in, buying up their property. That happened like at the very beginning. You know, people try to hold on a few months, and then it was like, you know, I can't do it. And then I don't know how many countless elderly people that were affected by this. Like, where do they go? What do they do? You know. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of, you know, a repeated cycle of what's going on in our state. You know, she tried to say, oh, like Maui, and I'm glad he called her on that, because again, Gavin Newsom talks about this all the time. You know, California is the number 4 biggest economy in the world. In the world, Craig. In the world, not just in the United States, in the world. So this type of thing shouldn't be happening here, but why? But anyway, I digress, Carlo. I'll let you share your thoughts.
No, those are all valid points. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, people want answers to common questions, and it just seems like they're getting the runaround for whatever reason. And, to see people having to deal with that, you know, a lot of times, yeah, people just want to pick up and go on with their lives. They don't want to have to continue to be put in a position to where they don't have a place. They feel like they are, stuck in limbo because they can't, get what they need, to repair their homes to, you know, where they were before. I don't understand, what's the holdup? What's the issue? Yeah, you clear out debris. That doesn't take that long. If you want to get that done, that's priority over any and everything, especially if you consider it a natural disaster. Everything else should stop and you should be focusing on this. But unfortunately, you have agendas and you have timelines for other things that, people, things are.
Attention parents.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, people want to move on with their lives, and
Yeah,
having
that
the
was a
second. Go
loudspeaker.
ahead, go ahead. No, it's fine. Go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, loudspeaker. But I mean, so at the end of the day, I mean, people just want to pick up where they left off, and now they're having to deal with bureaucracy in such a way that, you were looking for support, you're looking for empathy, you're looking for, what you suspect you should have, because if this was something that was done, to harm you, then you should be able to get back what you're supposed to have to put you back to normal, to indemnify you is what they call it. To have insurance, they're supposed to restore you back to your original settings, which is the default settings. It's indemnification. You'll hear that a lot, in the insurance world. So for whatever reason, you're having to go through this extra red tape. And then you have to sit up here and listen to Karen Bass say the same things over and over and over. And it's just monotonous language. You're massaging the point and issue and trying to step beyond and step behind it and saying, well, it's this, it's that, it's not this. If we could do this, but we are ahead here. If you look at it, no, it's none of that. Other things are getting done. Other things are happening around the city. So how are those things getting done, but this can't get done? That should tell you right then and there, what the agendas are. If you stop other things and other preparations, if you stop clearing out homeless, if you stop, fixing this or fixing that because you have the World Cup and Olympics coming here, which is multi-billion dollars, you could lose just to focus on that. Yeah, your city misses out on a lot of money. So if I'm building homes, I'm not making money doing that. Let's just call it what it is. California does not make money on restoring and building people's homes. It's a business move. We get it. But you can't say that because then, people will start suing you and then they'll start suing the state. So you have to say things and you have to be, PR correct, so you protect the state, you protect, the local municipalities from getting sued.
Right.
So I just say, if you watch long enough and you listen to people long enough, you just you drown out all of that other extra talk. And it's like, well, let's just talk plain here. Why is this getting done, but this can't get done? If this is important.
This process takes longer.
No, we
There's a lot of
understand.
red tape and
We understand processes, but if this is important, if this is something that, puts people back in their homes, why not make this the number one priority? Why not shut everything else down until this gets done?
And I think that part goes back to the politicians, certain politicians, I should say. Do they really care? Do they really advocate for the people that they're supposed to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Their parishioners. Do they really advocate for them? And in instances like this is a great opportunity for you to advocate for the people. You know what? This is a nail or a hook to hang your hat on. Like, hey, the fires happened, and I made sure everybody was back in their homes or was in the process of building their homes in the next few months. But they don't. That's not a thing that they could talk about because that's not what they're doing. They're slowing down the process. They're focused on, like I said, God knows what else. You know, I know she's running for re-election this year, so that's another focus. I'm sure. Guess what? While she was out there running for re-election, while she was going around the city, you know, she could have been, you know, on the phone or, you know, advocating for the people. And this is something that people need to get into their minds, that a lot of these people, they've been in the office so long, they've been in politics so long, I should say, and they're being paid by taxpayers. So they don't live a normal life to a certain extent. Like the challenges, some of the challenges that you face, they don't face those challenges. They don't face those challenges. And so, unfortunately, they can't see and understand like your plight. But guess what? It's their job to understand your plight. So how do we get those two together? Like, how do we get that to happen? That's the question. You know, it seems like, and this is something I want to discuss. I'm not gonna go too deep into it because we got some other things we want to talk about. We'll discuss it later because there is a mayoral race in Los Angeles. There is a government race in the state of California. So I want to, I'm sorry, I know Cuzzo is here too, but this is something Cuzzo I want to discuss so we can kind of mine out and maybe help other people mine out who might be the best choice for us, you know, moving forward. And what's funny is I just hit up one of my associates. They just posted something about Kamala Harris, you know, potentially running to be president of the United States in 2028, which she said she probably not going to do, but who knew that was a lie? Me. But it's important that we take a step back and see who really is fighting for what we care about, or who's advocating for what we care about, or who's just talking, who's just using a opportunity to step in and pretend like that they're actually doing something and moving the city forward. Like she was out there cleaning up potholes. What about all this money, you know, that they tax us, you know, and all these potholes should be filled. These streets shouldn't be this bad. We're in a major city. Yeah, you could probably say we're in a major city, so it might be more potholes. You could be right, but we get taxed like hell, so they should be fixing these potholes on a regular. Remember, the fourth largest economy in the world. And so, I mean, I guess I'll leave it right there, but I just want to say this last thing as it relates to this fire. You know, it's unfortunate that, you know, people had to experience this, and it's unfortunate that we had to deal with the leadership that was incompetent and not trying to make sure things were taken care of. That's not somebody who I want to oversee the city. They're not our rulers. They don't have dominion over us. They sit in an office. They hold an office. Let me say it that way. And they hold that office to be our voice. And if we're not speaking the same language, then it's a problem. They need to go. I'll just say it like that. Did you have anything else, Carlo, that you wanted to, anything else you wanted to say in regards to that, or we can move on?
No, we can move on. I mean, essentially that's what it is. I mean, they speak for the people, but I mean, they're not listening either. So I'll
That's
say
a fact.
that. Yeah.
That's a fact. All right. On to the next topic. So everybody, this is something we want that everybody's talking about. So we're gonna talk about it. You know, it's funny that me and Cuzzo was having a conversation. Like, man, all this stuff is like repetitive. Like this stuff is, you know, it's the same old. But we'll talk about this because it's in the news and everybody's talking about it. So there was been a pause to the war in Iran. And let's see what, let me actually share it on here. There we go. Let's see what Live Now has to say about it.
Welcome back. I'm Austin Westfall. This weekend, the U.S. and Iran, they'll meet in Pakistan for ceasefire and peace talks relating to the war in the Middle East. We are hearing that Vice President J.D. Vance is saying the U.S. will demand that Iran end its nuclear program and insist that Tehran hand over its ingredients for nuclear weapons. Let's check in with Andrea Stricker. She's here. She's a nuclear non-proliferation expert at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Andrea, is it clear whether the current ceasefire plan preserves Iran's right to enrich uranium?
Good to join you, Austin. It's not super clear, but Trump does say that enrichment is a red line. He said that in a post on Truth Social. But Iran, of course, has immediately walked back that commitment. It is said that it is insisting on a right to enrich uranium. And so that puts into doubt all of the other commitments that the U.S. has said that Iran has agreed to, from dismantling all its major nuclear facilities to transferring the enriched uranium out of Iran and accepting intrusive inspections from the IAEA. And so there are some tough issues ahead, and that's just not even including all of the other major issues that they have to discuss.
Yeah, let's talk about the strikes that the U.S. did last year in Iran. The International Atomic Energy Agency has assessed that large amounts of highly enriched uranium do remain entombed under the facilities that were struck last June. If the U.S. had its way, Andrea, what would happen with the material that was struck last year?
Well, according to President Trump, he expects a U.S. team to go in and retrieve this material. I'm doubtful that that would actually happen. I think we'd see something more like a UN or a multinational or even an IAEA-backed or supported team to go in. They would, of course, need heavy machinery to get to these 3 destroyed sites. The Natanz enrichment plant underground, the Fordow enrichment plant, which is under a mountain and was hit with the massive ordnance penetrators, and then the Esfahan tunnels, which were demolished by 30 Tomahawk missiles. Plus, you would.
I will stop there. Cuzzo, I'll let you tackle this one first.
I mean, what's the tackle? Like you said, we've seen this show over and over and over. I don't get it. They keep running the same playbook in terms of, you know, what you're there for, you know, for nuclear weapons. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like who did they threaten for you to go over there? I don't understand.
I think we know who they threaten.
Or
who feels threatened.
Who feels threatened, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Who feels threatened?
Yeah.
Who told you to go over there? We know who told you to go over there.
Yeah.
We know who running the show.
Right.
So why are we continuing to play like it's something else? Like, I don't get it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you get it. It's what needs to be said. to make it appear to be correct and make it appear that we're doing this for the right reasons.
Yeah, but that's getting ready to stop though, because more and more people are starting to see, you know, the chinks in that armor
Right.
with all the massive fraud and all the stuff, that's happening around, certain cities in this country. You already, control this, that, and the other. Now you're trying to get people's homes.
Yeah.
You're trying to take people's homes, and they not going for it.
Right. To the death. Yeah, man. I'll just say that, I heard Trump talk about, oh, we don't care about the strait, because none of our oil comes through it now. Now it's open the damn strait, or open the effing strait, or something like that. That was said by him. I don't know. I don't know what. I don't really know, man. Like what the. I mean, I know. I don't want to say I don't know what the play is, but I just don't know. It's oh, and I know. I'll say this. I know that they can't say certain things because, as I said a few seconds ago, it has to appear to be a reason for what we're doing, and a good reason, for what we're doing. But to your point, people are starting to ask more questions. People are starting to look into things deeper, to try to get an understanding, on a level of like oil. This is something that I thought about. So stock market, oil dipped, some of the market, like a lot of the things, increased, the stock has increased in value, right? When this was announced that we were going to strike in Iran, do y'all see how fast those gas prices rose, right? And this is what I was thinking, like, how quick are those gas prices going to go down? Let me know. What y'all think? You think it's going to take a while? Well, let me answer for you. It's going to take a while.
The prices ain't going back down.
Man, if they happen to go down as quick as they went up, it's going to take 2 to 3 times. No, I'm sorry, 10 times the amount of time for them to go back down. And man, it's about making money at the end of the day. Like I said this on the other show, that I think a lot of these companies were preemptively raising the price of the gas. And so I just want to see, I know you say because they won't go down, but just say they do go down. I want to see if the peace treaties go well, we get most of what we want, and they get most of what they want, because I know that we're not going to agree on everything. If just say everything goes well, right, and the prices do go down, how long is it going to take? Y'all tell me. I'm curious. I know it's going to take a while, but I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I just think this is, unfortunate, man. Like a lot of changes have happened during this regime, and I wouldn't put Kamala in there at all. I'm not saying that, but Trump did say that no new wars, and we're technically not in a war, but we're kind of like proxy. We're in a proxy war. Similar to actually a little more than we were in Ukraine because Ukraine was providing them funds, but we have like skin in the game in this particular situation. So, I mean, I hope it ends. I hope it's over with. I hope, no more people have to lose their life. And yeah, I don't know. That's all I have to say about that. Sound like good old Forrest. Anyway, let me know what you guys think inside of the comments. Do you think the war is dumb? Should we be over there fighting for, I ain't gonna go too deep into it because I want to get canceled, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, what do y'all think about the war? Oh, and because I'll just say this before you hopped on at the beginning, kind of, appreciated everyone for, the subscriptions, likes, the comments, etc. We didn't get any subscribers last week, but it's okay. We'll get a lot this week. I think we got maybe 6 or 8 in between the last two shows. But anyway, on to the next topic. Let's see. So this is one thing again, kind of like the same. I didn't hear about this happening until like a couple of days ago. But the WNBA, I know they were supposed to vote on the agreement, and it sounds like they did sometime last month. And I don't know where I was at, but I didn't hear about it. Maybe I wasn't trying to hear about it. I don't know, but they finally voted, and they came to an agreement. And so there's going to be a income shift for a lot of the WNBA players. So the new deal increased the salary cap to $7 million, meaning that almost every veteran in the league now earns a 6-figure salary, while the top players, some of them are into the 7 figures. It's crazy. We got WNBA players out there making an M. So let's see. So these players are first in history to secure $1 million deal. Actually, I could share this really quick. I know, cuz I was happy for him. Huh? You not happy for him? Let me see. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So we got Asia Wilson, who has been in the NBA. She got the Supermax 1.4. Kelsey Mitchell, Supermax 1.4. Breanna Stewart, 1.4. Jackie Young, 1.19 million, and so on and so forth. And then so if you go down here, you got a lot of the women are going to be making, like I said, in the 6 figures. Man, hey, I wonder if Joanna Man will come out of retirement. So anyway, what do you think about this, Cuzzo? The deal being made, the WNBA women are finally getting the yaper up.
I mean, we talked about this last show. I mean, good for them. So we'll see. They're also supposed to be getting, I guess, 2 new teams. So,
oh, that's right.
I really don't see, where the money comes from for it making money, but I guess that's not what it's about. I don't understand what it's about if it's not making money, but I'm not the expert, so I can't really speak to that. But in hindsight and in what they do and what they offer and what they bring, it's definitely a win for them for sure. Just hearing some of their accommodations and what they were experiencing, yeah, definitely wouldn't want that to be anyone's professional experience. I wouldn't want that to be, a normal person's experience. But, just understanding, what they were seeking and what they were getting. And now that they've come through that, they have the opportunity to have a little bit more, power in terms of money because they're going to be getting paid. It's going to start setting precedents, in other areas too. So, we'll see what it does. We'll see what it offers. Because a lot of times most of them was going overseas because they were saying this isn't enough money. So this may bring back, some more talented players,
Right.
to the league. So we'll see what happens moving forward.
Absolutely. And I think about this like, the state of California, right? So there was a lot of people advocating for raising not just minimum wage, but like fast food workers, instead of them making minimum wage, to make $20 or more. And a lot of people are saying, oh, this is going to make sure that people have a livable wage and make sure that, people could survive, in a job that really wasn't intended for, somebody to work or to make a career. But that's happened. People made a career. Anyway, I'm just kind of using this as an example. But now what happens is now the jobs are, a lot of jobs have said, okay, since we got to pay people $20, we have to cut out some jobs. And so that's what happened. And nobody predicted that, but we'll have to see, what happens with the WNBA, because again, like you bring up a valid point, because I'm like, where's the money going to come from? Like, have they seen a substantial amount of growth to be able to, maintain these salaries that they're giving out to people? Is yet to be seen. We'll just have to see how it plays out, because we don't know yet. And honestly, like, we don't really know what their pockets look like in the WNBA, but we do know for a long time, most of their history, they have been subsidized by the NBA. And so would this look like, attendance, jersey sales? Actually, I did see, and shout out to Angel Reese, she got traded, and her jersey sold out, within an hour or two. And so is that going to be the case? Are people going to, fully support them? Are they going to gain more support? Because that's really what it comes down to. If people say, you know what, that was just a fad, it was cool then, I don't really want to watch it, then they're going to be back at square one. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it plays out moving forward. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick and cut. Anyway, so this is the last topic. I kind of wanted to, spend more time talking about this. I've had conversations with, quite a few people, about, different cultures. A lot of different cultures they could point to, back to their country, where their parents were from, where their parents were from, and maybe where they came from, and what that looks like. But actually, I do want to play a video. But I was thinking, like, where, for the foundational Black American, what does the culture look like? Where does the culture come from? What is the culture? And so that's why I kind of titled this culture, because I think it's a great discussion that we could have about this, because people are going to have their own, opinions about it. But I do want to play a short video, and we could talk about the video, but we could go deeper into what that looks like. And this could be, you know, like a series, you know, that we discuss, you know, we talk about and discuss this stuff. So let me add this video back to the back here.
We not family no more.
Yep, and unfortunately, a big part of this is the fact that we've done away with many aspects of the culture that made us feel like a family. And I'm going to break that down, but before I do, we got to factor in a few things. Now, for one, this new generation is the first generation to not expect to have the traditional big mama or grandma relationship. The millennials, we were the last generation to have that, and we were the last generation who were raised with the idea of respecting elders as a principle. You know, it's an option for these kids. It wasn't an option for us. And I get why we've pushed back against it, because just because you're older doesn't make you a good person. And a lot of time, older people have a hard time respecting people who are younger. They don't feel like they have to, which is toxic. So I see why we've kind of pushed back. But I think that in losing that connection and doing away with that expectation, we've lost that connection to our elders. Like, these kids don't have elders the way that we had elders. They don't have the traditional grandma and big mama. They have grandmas, you know, they have grandpas who date people their age. They have grandparents who are still working and still young in the mind. And I'm not shaming them for that, because I think a lot of them probably are having fun later in life because they were expected to be adults as children. They were given responsibilities that they shouldn't have had as a child, you know, having to raise their siblings and stuff. But it's one big problem, but it's caused by a bunch of different generational factors. And let me get into that. So I'm a millennial. Millennials and Gen X, we were mostly raised by baby boomers, and I won't vilify them as an entire group, but I will say that many of them were emotionally inept. You know, they focus so much on providing the roof over your head, the food on the table, the clothes on your back. And a lot of them subscribe to the belief that children are meant to be seen and not heard. You know, you stay in a child's place, you spare the rod, you spoil the child. They didn't invest in their children in an emotional way. They didn't know how to show them love, support, and affection in the way that they needed. And their children, you know, because generations evolved, they realized that they were lacking that. So they made a decision when they had children that they were going to do the opposite. But unfortunately, one extreme to another extreme is still extreme. You know, you need boundaries, you need balance. And they didn't have that. So they took the approach that, hey, I wasn't allowed to speak up, so my kid's going to be allowed to speak their mind. Understand the mentality behind that, but potential problem. Or, I'm not going to make my kid work hard for everything the way that I had to, because they didn't ask to be here and I didn't ask to be here. That's coming from an unhealed place, because you're creating more of a problem. You're creating a lack of structure with your own children if you're not imposing boundaries. I was always raised and taught that I could speak my mind, but I had to use tact. That taught me how to articulate my feelings, how to hold back and assess my emotions and articulate it in a way that was still respectful. These kids don't do that. And I'll tell you, as someone who works in education, it's not uncommon for a parent to come and lash out at you when you make them aware of their child's behavior. They immediately go into defense mode and protective mode, because I think that a lot of them didn't feel protected as children and they perceive that as an attack. So it triggers their mama bear instincts, you know? And I get the psychology behind it, but we've just created a bigger problem. And when you factor those things into the fact that we live in this transactional society, you can kind of see why these shifts are taking place, because nobody does anything with the expectation of just doing a good thing. Everything has reciprocity attached to it. If I do this for you, you do something for me. Or I'm going to put this favor in my back pocket, so in the event that I need you, I got you. You know, we use it as leverage. And that's unfortunate. And I think that in an effort to fix the toxic aspects of our culture, we've created new problems, and we've done away with the cultural aspects that made us feel like a family, because we were all raised by villages. We had our aunts, uncles, grandparents, our parents, everybody raised us, and they were main characters. These kids don't have that, because in doing away with the village mentality, we've done away with the village. And that's unfortunately why we're here now.
Oh man, I'm watching that. Anyway, yeah. So, I think she had a lot to say. And from one aspect, I was like as she was talking, I was like, dang, like in a lot of ways, she's right as it relates to, you know, kids in this particular era, they don't have their, you know, grandmother, you know, like there to like impart wisdom on them. And it's not always that the grandmother is not present, but then a lot of times the grandmother is trying to hang out with them, trying to smoke with them, trying to, you know, drink with them and things like that. You don't have like the old grandmother, old school grandfather who imparts wisdom on you, who gives you insight, who tries to prepare you for, you know, what to look for in the future to try and raise you to be um, a great citizen in society. You know, you have a lot, you know, and that's contributed to a lot of things, and that's a lot of other stuff that we could discuss. You know, you could talk about, you know, teenage pregnancy, like actually having years and years and years and years of that type of thing happening, which makes the gap between the grandmother and the child a lot closer. And you know, you hear a lot of times where grandma's saying, "Oh, I want to live my life. I done already raised kids, etc." So a lot of those factors come into play as to where we are now. And a lot of kids are not used to having that bond. Like me and you, cuz we could talk about it. Like, you know, even though Auntie Dorothy was my aunt, like she was kind of like, you know, I mean, I guess she was a, you know, an aunt figure, but also we used to get together on a regular basis as a family. You know, it maybe wasn't every week, but it was regular enough for us to anticipate those things going on. And you know, nowadays, I mean, I'm sure it happens, but it doesn't happen, you know, like it should. You know, and I think another part of that too, electronics, you know, I think are a major part of it too, because we used to eat at the table together as a family. And now today, uh we eat separately. You know, sometimes we don't eat the same thing. I mean, and again, if your family does eat together, that's great. But I would say in a large amount, I'm not gonna say most because I can't speak to most, but I know in a large majority of families don't have uh their dinner together or meals together. They usually, you grab your plate, one to go off here, the other ones to go off into their room, you know, and you know, and eat and things. That's how it's been. And this is kind of like one aspect of what I want to talk about as it relates to culture, you know, because I think that I think those things are important, you know, and that's when I think some wisdom is imparted, you know, like you know, how was your day? You know, what went on today in class? You know, what did you learn? You know, like those conversations are important to have with, you know, your kids, you know, but sometimes they're not had, you know, and then also a way that how to conduct yourself, you know, when you go out with other people. It's just a lot of different facets, and you know, I think she broke down a lot of, you know, a lot of good things. I mean, some things I necessarily don't agree with. You know, I mean, people like to use all these buzzwords and stuff like that, boundaries, and you know, like, and they try to, you know, be their child's friend. It's okay to be, you know, to be a parent to your kids, you know, telling them the do's and the don'ts and things like that. You know, people get into a point where, oh, you shouldn't tell your kid you can't do this or not to do that. Like, yeah, you can. That's what you're there for. Like telling them not to do certain things and you can do certain things may save their lives. Um, and I that part I don't agree with her saying that because I'm not trying to be my child's friend. I definitely want them to be able to be open and be able to come to talk to me. You know, and I guess that probably sounds bad not to be their friend. But you guys, I think you guys know what I mean. If you don't, hit me up. We could talk about it. Uh, and then there's one other thing that I was gonna say that kind of I lost my thought. Uh, but I'll leave it there because I'll probably double back when you give your thoughts.
Yeah, yeah, she definitely said a lot, and I agreed with, you know, most of what she said, because I've seen it and I've experienced it. And just to speak to your last point, I don't think she was saying, you know, be your child's friend, but this is how I was raised too. You allow the child to speak, but you have, it's not what you say, is how you say it per se. You know, allowing them to learn how to regulate their emotions and have a level of respect when you're speaking to adults. Maybe I missed the point when she was talking about, befriending your children. Yeah, but I don't believe in that part as well. I don't believe in being my child's friend, because my job and my position, my role as the father is to lead and coach, you know, the child or the daughter or the son, to where they can grow up and, have some type of balance and, you know, grow up in the world that, they're going to have to learn how to function and handle themselves in, and unfortunately, when certain people pass away and die, yeah, those traditions and that energy kind of leaves, those sects of people, because when we were growing up, of course, we were always together, having meals together, holidays, birthdays, we were always getting together for something, that I can remember. All type of birthdays, whether it was adults, children, we were getting together. Now, people have moved away, they've moved on, they're doing life differently. And they kind of say, well, now it's you guys' turn. You guys' turn to pick up and, lead and do this and do that. And it's like, yeah, but you really didn't, tell us how to do it. You showed us, but then you didn't even impart any instructions in how this is done. Not even really breaking it down or having the conversation. Yeah, we lived through it, but that doesn't mean I know how to do something. Yeah, I can watch somebody fly a plane, but I don't mean I can fly the plane too after they get up. So it's just kind of like me looking at it from that standpoint. We didn't have those conversations like, okay, we came together because, this time in life, and we got together like, you don't get the story behind why things happen, why people came together, why, best friends become aunties, why, their kids become your cousins, and it's like to this day, it's still that way, but like I said before, I know how I raised my kids is basically how I would have wanted to be raised, but I know I was raised how I needed to be raised at that point in time based on who I was being raised by in that environment, in that situation, for that time, and for, who was doing it. So for me, I can say that, like, I know what's needed, what needs to be done, how it needs to be done. And, that's what I stick to and that's what I stand by. And, I think I've done a pretty good job at it, based on my results, which is they didn't die. No, but I'm just saying, but yeah, just getting back to the point, yeah, I kind of miss it. We don't have the village aspect because everybody is kind of like for themselves. Like, the ship is going down, women and children, men, okay, everybody for himself, forget it. That's what it kind of feels like. You know, People moved away, they're doing their lives as they see fit, as they want to. Nobody's calling in anybody, nobody's checking in, nobody's, having conversations every day. Some people do, some families do, but, for the most part, if you don't live with your family or close to your family, everybody blames it on, oh, well, I'm working or I got a lot going on. Yeah, that's called life. But you still impart, yourself on life, not life imparting itself on you. You make it what you want it to be. You set it to where you want it to happen the way that you see that you want it to happen. So I just think, the mentality and the times have changed. So like I said, a lot of the stuff she said, I do agree with. But, as me and you have talked and we've said it before, it's like, okay, so we get to pick up and say, all right, well, let's do this or let's start doing that, at least getting together. And we can't even do that consistently because everybody has such a different schedule. And it's like, it's easy just to come over to somebody's house and we sit down and let's just eat and hang out. watch a movie, play some cards. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant, but that's something that everybody has to want to do. You know, if people don't want to do it, then it's going to be, oh, well, I got to do this, I got to do that. You know, you make up all the excuses as to why you can't do something. If you want to do something, then there is no excuse. I'll be there.
What you talking about with it?
I'm talking about families getting together. I'm talking about us. I'm talking about we went bowling one time and I smashed you, and then now you don't want to go bowling no more.
Oh, here we go, man. Here we go. Here we go. Bringing that
So
up.
it's like,
What about that first game?
so it's like I get why you busy.
What about that first game? Hold
I
on.
don't
You need
understand
to
the first
address that.
game. I think we only
You
played
didn't
one or two
understand
games.
it. It wasn't
I think
hard to
I came
understand.
in, y'all was already bowling.
Mhm.
Yeah, you was already
Yeah.
warm. I think that's what it was.
Hey, man.
And then once I got warm, it was over.
Yeah, I was ready to go.
Yeah, okay, you ready to go. Right. He was just getting whooped on. But no, but all in all, man, I've had conversations, you know, with, you know, some family members and talking about what we could do to start getting people together and stop texting so much. Why don't you pick up a phone and call somebody? You know, take time to call, you know, get on the phone and just hear somebody's vibration, hear their voice. You know, everybody wants to text. You doing all that texting and all that book reporting, you can call somebody and have that conversation.
I'm gonna know you talking about book report, man. What you?
No, I'm just saying, like sometimes people want to write a book report to you, and I'm like, dude,
Oh, okay.
I'm like, you could just call me and say whatever. You don't have to
Yeah, I
write
get
that. You don't write that. You don't have to write that novel. You could just, you know, send that to your publisher and let them handle it. Yeah.
Right.
So
You can use that creative writing for something else
yeah,
other
for
than
something else.
communicating to me.
Exactly. Me and you, we can get on the phone. We can talk about it for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, man, we gotta pick it up, man, and we gotta do it.
Right.
And then everybody see us doing it, they gonna be like, oh, why y'all didn't call me? Because every time I call you, you busy. Every time, well,
Right.
yeah, I'm not that busy anymore because this, that, and the other. Or y'all don't call. Well, I don't know what people doing. You know, I want to make sure people want to do stuff. When I call them and I ask them, I don't want to feel like I'm asking for money. I'm just asking for time. You know, get together.
Right.
Let's talk.
Absolutely.
Let's see what you got going. What you doing? What's going
Oh
on?
man, I missed a comment, man. One popularity by viewers. Oh no, thank you.
How much?
Oh man, yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah, man.
this is the long game, man. We ain't worry about that. If it comes,
Right.
it comes. If it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Right. She talked about like a village, you know.
Like M Night Shyamalan's Village. Remember
Nah,
that
not
movie?
quite. Not
Not
quite.
that village. All right.
Not quite. Not quite. But you know, like it's a saying that's been created for it takes a village to raise a child, right?
Mhm.
And I think we had that village,
Mhm.
you know, even if you look at like our neighbors, like I know my neighbor in particular, like she was quick to say something. You know,
Mhm.
she wasn't shy. If she saw we were doing something, you know, that we wasn't supposed to be doing, she said something. And she didn't say it in a soft voice. She said, "Get your off of that."
Mhm.
Hey. And I turned out perfectly fine, I think. You know, I like to think so. You know, but now, you know, and she kind of mentioned this as well, like, you know, parents now, you can't really tell you can't tell the parent about what the kid is doing because the parents will go off on you. And I think that's another place that we are kind of lacking because you have some parents that are like that, you know. But yeah, I want to focus more on the village part. The village, like we had that. We had, like I said, neighbors. We had like everybody, like people in our family that said something. We talked about this too before, cuz you know what I'm saying? Hey, when I used to come over and spend the night over your house. Hey, one person, did something, man. Hey, you all got to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Are nobody gonna say nothing?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it is what it is. But those times have changed substantially, and I know some of the laws that have been put into place. Saying certain things can't be done, but um, that village being able to not just discipline your kids, but also to impart wisdom, to guide, to show different experiences, um, just to exist and be family, and do these type of things. That stuff is not there for everyone anymore. It's rare when you see an opportunity, or you have somebody that has the opportunity to and I'm talking about our culture in particular, that has that, because I think you still see that in some cultures. Like if you look at like the Latin culture, if you look at the Asian culture, like a lot of them that from then, this is me on the outside looking in, they get together still. They still, help each other out, with their kids. They still, communicate. Now they are some people in their family who are, you know, on the other side, what I'm saying, of things. But I think as on a larger scale, um, they are um, still promoting that type of family togetherness, and bonding, and raising kids together, or helping raise kids together. So um I know that this is like a lot. This is like one aspect of it. I think maybe next show, I want to talk more about, you know and actually, we could kind of talk about some of it right now, and you guys could be thinking, and maybe you guys could give us some ideas. But the foundational Black American, right? Those people who are born in the United States. You have cultures like people from, Latin cultures, who could point back and say, "Oh, this is how we do things. This is how we communicate. This is how, this is the type of food we eat." But then, like, if you look at even something as small as the the colors that people wear, or the color that people point to when it's about Black history, what does it point to? Like, what colors are usually um shown when you talk about Black history in America? Like, it's usually African colors, right? Like kente and all that stuff. But if you think about it, like, how far removed are we from the African culture, right? Like, we may have had descendants who are connected in that way, but unless we do studying, we don't know their ways. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what they celebrate. Some of the food they eat, we don't eat. So how is it that we connect ourselves to that culture, yet we're so far removed from that culture? Like, what is the Black Americans' culture? Like, what does that look like? And I know, from my opinion, I think that it's a lot of layers to unpack when you talk about that. Um, but but if you think about it, like, think about it. We say African American, and guess what they say? Guess what a lot of them, you know, don't associate us as African. So we're kind of set apart from being African. So why do we still call ourselves that? Or why do we allow people to still call us that? We're not I mean, I may be, like I said, far off from African descent, but I'm not ingrained in that culture at all. And so because of like thinks to be a good conversation to have, to like mine that out and talk about what that looks like as a person who's not from Africa, and what our culture looks like as they call, and I'm using that because that's the word that they're using, FBA, Foundational Black American.
Yeah, I mean it's been a popular topic as of late. I don't think there should be much debate, in between that and then, when people come here, because being here and then coming here is two different things. So I don't see why people try to mix the two. If you're talking about something over 400, 1,000, 10,000 years, it's not even in this timeline. So I don't understand why people get hung up and hung on, this, oh, well, we are from Africa anyway, or, oh, I'm not from Africa. My parents is from here. My grandparents is from here. My great grandparents is from here. So you can't tell me I'm from Africa.
Right.
So that's understandably so correct and right. And you should be able to say that. You should be able to choose your nationality, where you're from, because that's what you know to be true, not what somebody tells you. No one can tell you who you are and where you're from. You declare that for yourself. And that's not the same thing as, somebody coming here now and saying I'm this, or I'm not that. No one wants to be black, Everybody could say, or on the other hand, is I'm black and I'm proud.
Mm-hmm.
Or what is it to be black, And the black experience here in America is black culture. That is what black culture is, all of it. The good, the bad, the ugly. And it's unfortunate, but that's what it is. It's entertainment, it's art, it's invention, it's everything that they say or don't say about you. Everything you see or you read in books, everything you hear on the radio, everything you see, on your television for entertainment, everything you hear on the radio, for enjoyment and pleasure, that's the black culture. That's the black experience. What we went through growing up in California, the Watts riots, having to go through that and see that, even before, after that, the LA riots, that's black culture. When they like to just equate it to, February, Black History, no, that's not just Black history. This doesn't go that way. It's not just so minutely stuffed into the February that, you can just end it there. It's so much more on top of that.
And the reason why I say that too is, sorry to cut you off, but things are so convoluted that, they kind of tie so many things in together. Like I kind of stated a few minutes ago, is that, you have the Pan-African flag colors that are, are displayed during Black History Month, which in some people's mind connects us to, back to African culture. But as you said, so graciously, like, your mother's from here, your grandmother was from here, your great grandmother was from here. And so I think that's really the thing. Like, when people, like, I don't think people really think about this or consider it like this is not what I'm connected to. I know my nephew, man, he'll, if he sees it, he's probably gonna trip out. But he was asking me about certain food, like, do I eat? And I was like, he asked me about African food. And I said, nah, bro, I don't like that goop or whatever they call it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
nah, I don't like that. He said they're gonna cancel me. I said, no, it doesn't even look appetizing to me. He said, man, you don't want to try stuff. I mean, that could be the case,
Yeah,
but
because that's not what you grew up eating. You know,
absolutely,
you grew up eating what we call soul food, fried chicken,
absolutely.
you know, macaroni and cheese, greens,
Yes,
you know,
sir.
meatloaf, you know, pork chops, steak
Yeah,
every now and then, hamburgers, fries. You know, that's what you grew up on. That was part of your culture, so that's what you eat. You didn't grow up on, you know, African food because you're not from
taking
Africa.
that. Yeah, and so
You're from
and
here.
that's and people, again, as a whole, I think we're disconnected from that, and we have so many fractures in our culture that haven't been mended.
Yeah, by design. It's done on purpose.
Yeah, I
Because they
could, I
don't want
could, I
you
could
to
believe it.
know that you are already home. This is your land. So, you know, if you have that mentality, then you will be pushing for you to have control of that land. And if I don't have control of it, you need to be paying me for you having an eminent domain and moving people off of it and building freeways and moving people from here and building lakes. Like there's so many things that have been done, atrocities that have been, you know, bestowed upon us and our people here in America, you
Mhm.
know, not African American, American, or you
Right.
can call it Moorish American.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to go deeper, you want to be called the Negro, you know, you want to be called the Aboriginal, the indigenous one of the land, north of Maxim. All you got to do is look in the history books, or you look in the books in Congress. They'll tell you. And what we should have talked about with this was the birth thing, to where, you know,
Birthright citizenship.
birthright citizenship, which they're trying to get
Mhm.
rid of that, because for years people have been coming here having their children, you know, in America, so their children can be U.S. citizens because they were
Right.
born here.
It's been
And
going
that,
on for a long time too.
yeah, and that wasn't something that was for foreigners. That was something that was
Foreigners.
for, descendants of slaves.
Right.
So we've been getting taken advantage of. We've been getting looked upon as, you know, sheep, cattle, consumers, someone to take advantage of. But you're the most powerful one on the planet. Once you realize that, and once you come together and work with each other, then, you know, people will get afraid of that, and then they send in crack, and then they send in, you know, any other violence into your community. Well, of course, everything is a choice. You have a choice, but, you know, that's part of it. Not everybody makes the right choice.
Right.
So that's why we have what we have in history. You have lessons to look at to see, you know, where you can do different or better this time around. So yeah, I think
100%.
that'll be a good series to go through for sure. You get to break down, you know, everything that you hear and see, you know, in terms of entertainers, politicians, you know, the Al Sharptons, you know, the late great Jesse Jacksons, you know, what they all
Yeah.
attempted to do, you know, not empower you but pacify you, putting you in a certain way of seeing things and, you know, reacting to things, not responding but reacting.
Right.
So
And I think that that was actually something I was thinking about. Because you said something, I can't recall what you said that made me think about it, but they want to keep us fearful. They want to keep us uh, dumb, for lack of better words, um, uneducated, and siloed as well. Because all those things, like we hear it sometimes, and I mean I say it jokingly too, but you know, all people are not good people. I just say it that way, so I don't sound crazy. And there's some people that you want to distance yourself from. for obvious reasons out there. But again, my main point is that they don't want us to learn these things. Kind of like you said, they want to keep us dumb, and the information is right there. Kind of like you said, Cuzzo, but we just have to, take the initiative to do it. But I don't think it's something that people even think about. There's a fracture there, and we could go into that deeper, what that is and what those things are next time. But you see one person that's doing good, that looks like you, and you kind of want to pull that person down, because you're not no better than me. I'm not doing good, so I don't want to see you good. I'm a victim. I can't do any better. I'm not given the same opportunities that you are. And guess what? People have different lives and they have different experiences. But can you tell me that there wasn't a man who grew up in a bad, situation, and through life he took the appropriate steps, and now he's really successful? And you can't tell me that there's not a man who grew up with everything and he took the wrong steps and now he's not doing great. There's two sides of that coin. But we have a lot more choices and things like that we have, and we have to come to ourselves, and take a look, stop and look around you, see what's going on in the world, see what's happening in life, see, put our phones down for a minute. And I know I'm the least want to say that, because I'm a lot of times I'm like this, you know what I'm saying? But these are thoughts that I have. I could be driving to work and a thought just pop in my head, and I start, trying to figure out what is what, why is this happening, why do people think that way, why is this going on, what will it look like if we change some of those things. Those are things that go on in my head. So yeah, I think this is like I said, I think this would be a good conversation to have over the next week or two, or however long it is, and we could address different aspects of this topic. Oh, Cuzzo, you still there? Okay, you
Yeah,
still
I'm
there.
still here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, anyway, any closing remarks, Cuzzo? I didn't think we were gonna be here this long.
Yeah, I mean, as always, I appreciate you, Cuzzo, for getting this together, putting this together. I know sometime during the week we get busy and we don't get to put the show together quite as well as we like to, but as we always say, the more we're doing it, the better we're getting. So shout out to you for that. Yeah, this week is great. Happy it's Friday. Tomorrow is your boy's birthday, so this is my birthday episode. So just want to say shout out to all the Aries out there. Turn up one time, get it going, and enjoy yourself, because you the greatest. So I will say that.
Oh,
And
man.
what's up, man? What's the problem? Wow, I was talking. You just definitely cut in, but
yeah, my
anyway,
bad, man.
Yeah. Anyway, like I was saying, man, before I was so rudely interrupted, yeah, enjoy yourself, man. Turn up one time, and life is great, man. It's just about what you make it. And as we continue to move forward, it's gonna be what you make it. So you have to allow yourself to start to ask more questions. You ask more questions and you get better at understanding answers. And what that looks like is you ask questions. You got to continue to ask questions to where if I'm asking questions, you're not answering the question, then that means I'm not asking the right question. And I say that because when you watch things on TV and you listen to these people, they're asking questions and they're not answering the question. They're paralleling. They're paralleling the conversation. They're having their own conversation, you know, and it sounds like they're answering the question. So that's just something I picked up on. And as you get older and as you have more experience, you start to pick up on that stuff as well. And if these are things and stuff and things that we teach the young now, which is part of what we call critical thinking, there's different levels of speech, there's level and forms of conversations, you know, how to build rapport with people, you know, all those things that they don't teach in school, you know, those are the reasons why we have people doing and acting the way that they are right now today. So I didn't mean to go on a whole other monologue, but thank you. That's my time.
I know I'm too late. No, we appreciate that. Man. So I just wanted to address some things that he said. The greatest, I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? But we'll let him have it, you know, since it's his birthday coming up. Happy birthday to you, cuz. Happy early birthday to you. You actually beat me to it. But shout out to you. You know what's crazy is that me and Cuzzo's birthday is a month apart. You know, same day, just a month different, right? And I usually always remember his birthday because, you know, it is a month apart, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, shout out to you, man. Man, how do you feel, man?
I can't really tell you how I feel. You know, each year that the time passes and this comes around, it's just, you know, every year is different, you know, and everybody I ask, what are you doing or what do you want to do? And it's like, just get better, you know, experience life, you know, at the next level, you know, and as you get older and as you have done things, you know, now it's time to start traveling, you know, seeing the world now, not when you get super old, but, you know, when you're able to still, you know, move around and do some things. So, you know, those are the things that I'm looking forward to for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna keep it short. Appreciate you for always coming on and bringing your perspective. And shout out to you for initiating our conversation this week because I was so involved in things and that happens. And not saying that you aren't, you know, but I appreciate that. You know, to get us, you know, back on track, like we should be, you know, giving like, you know, an effort to make sure that we're giving people, you know, giving people effort. I'll put it that way. But yeah, that is all I have to say about that. And shout out to y'all, man. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, share this with a family or friend. Let them know it's one of your favorite cousins' birthday. So share this episode with them. They may get something from it. And also, if there's things that you guys want to hear us talk about, definitely shoot that in the comments. With that being said, everyone enjoy your week. Have a phenomenal weekend on purpose. Your two favorite cousins. Episode number 11 of season 2. We out. Peace.